How did you know to kind of take a step back from it all? Like what was there a moment?
It hasn't been a moment. It's just been a lifetime of, of some therapy and some recovery and meditation and spirituality, of just like what gets in the way from me living my truest life. When I started therapy, my therapist was like, I want you to say daily affirmations.
Wow. Yeah.
The first one was, I am enough.
Oh my goodness.
So I read it and I was like, I am enough. I'm like, well, I'm not saying that one. I'm like, what about? And he goes, slow up. That's the one you need to say, because that's the one you have the most resistance to. So I had it taped to my mirror, and every morning I'd go in. He said, before you brush your teeth, you look in the mirror and you say, I am enough. And it was hard for years to just look in the mirror, say, I am enough. Doesn't mean I have to do enough. I'm a human being, not a human doing.
What's up, guys? It's Logic.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up, guys? Logic. You all hear me? Is this what you want?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Logic, and this is Logically Speaking, and I am here with the extraordinary, amazing, fantastic, good guy, great person, father, husband, friend, writer, comedian, producer, Rainn Wilson.
Friend? You count me as friend?
Hell yeah, I count you as a friend, bruh. What you mean? Totally. Look at that. See, that's how you shake a hand, Fabian. My one of my producers / camera guys doesn't know how to shake my hand.
Fucking Fabian.
I know.
That's why I devoted this episode to Brandon, the other producer.
Exactly. So yeah, man, I think I want to start out by actually saying I've never seen The Office. Is that weird? Is that a weird thing to say?
Do you want me to act it out for you?
No, don't do that.
That's not a weird thing, man. But your wife...
Obsessed.
And
the reason I haven't watched it is because I'm so excited, because I've seen such great television, and like I've seen an episode here or there, you know what I mean? But like I'm like saving it.
You're saving it.
Because everyone's like, it's the best shit in the whole world. So I'm like,
nice.
I think I'm almost...
Save it till you get like hip replacement surgery and like you're on your back for a month and a half and you can just stream the shit out of it.
Okay.
It's not very good. Honestly, it's not as good as everyone says. So you're really not missing much.
Here's a question for you. So like the way that people outside of hip hop, like in mainstream media, know me originally was from the 1-800 song, right? About suicide prevention. And there was a time, like, I mean, it's amazing, especially now. I'm like, dude, if there's ever a way to be remembered, as a mental health advocate, like, it's a real honor. But there was definitely a time when I was like sick of the song. You know what I mean? Because you're just doing it everywhere all the time. And it's like, it's the suicide guy. I'm like, oh my God. Have you ever felt that way with that particular show? And then have you ever then looked back and been like, wow, that was actually really awesome?
I guess I'm going through that right now. And I do struggle with it sometimes when, people come up to me on the street and like, I had this kid the other day come up to me on the street and he was like, Dwight. And I was like, hey, and he's like, I'm your biggest fan. And I was like, okay, biggest fan. What's my actual name? And he's like, I'm like, you're not my biggest fan. He's like, can I get a picture? No. You lose.
Yeah, it's always funny when like you sit down with somebody, even in like a professional space like this, and they don't know anything. So I think I'd love to talk about the Almanac of Happiness. That's a joke.
That was good.
Thank you.
You could have sold it a lot better. You want to try it again and not tell me and like really let that deadpan hang?
I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, is he going to...
Because... it was good.
Geography of Bliss.
The show's called Geography of Bliss. Yeah. Do you get the joke, people? What was happening
Almanac
here?
of Happiness. I'll never forget you've heard of Mac Miller?
Of course.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Yeah, amazing musician. And I'll never forget, he went on some radio show one time for his, was it his sophomore album? Might have been his third album. I forget. But it was watching movies with the sound off. And the person interviewing him goes, so yeah, tell me more about your new album, watching TV on mute. And they were fucking dead serious. I I'm just like, how can you even call yourself a journalist or an interviewer or whatever, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Anyway, so look, now that the jitters are out.
But your new album, University Neighborhood's out. And I just want to, I'm wondering how that's doing, how the fans responded. And
it's, they
like University
Neighborhood.
Yeah.
College
no,
Park.
but let me say more about Dwight thing, because
please,
it's a weird dance you do as an actor. Like, so 14, 15 years as a professional actor, I did a bunch of theater. I did a bunch of shitty TV show like CSI and Charmed and Law and Order and stuff like that, and little guest spots. And then I hit on, I start doing 6 Feet Under, and then I hit The Office, and it's super popular for the first half of it, and then it's trailing off, and then it disappears. 2015, 16, no one's thinking about or talking about The Office at all. And then Netflix happens, and all of a sudden it's way more popular with billions of more views and streams than it ever was when it was on TV, and it has this huge resurgence. So I've been doing this dance with Dwight where it's like, I was Dwight, and then kind of Dwight went away, and then I was doing some other project, and then it was back better than ever. And like, it's kind of crazy that this show that I finished 10 years ago is bigger than it ever has been, and I'm more recognizable than ever. But I honestly feel like the acting roles that I've done since The Office, no one's really seen them, you know?
I've seen them.
But
Super is one of my favorite movies of all time. Super.
That's sweet.
Classic.
That's sweet. I did that toward the tail end of The Office, but I'm really like since like 13, 14 till now, I've done really cool roles and fun shows, cool little movies, indies, big movies, you know, and I feel really satisfied. Like as an actor, I get to play these different roles, and but I'll always be known as Dwight. That's what's going to be on my tombstone at the end of the day, and that's what pays the bills, and that's what allows me to write a book and have people buy it, because no one gives a shit about Rainn Wilson, but it's like, oh, the guy who played Dwight wrote a book. I'll check that out. So
wow.
It's all good.
Did you get a lot of calls after the resurgence? Like, did your phone start blowing up? Like, we got this gig for you.
No.
Okay.
Not so much.
Well, I like to call you and just tell you that you're great.
Oh.
I like to text you randomly.
You do text randomly. It's really kind of beautiful.
Thank you.
It's a link or a photo or some weird thought.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like, I really, really like, I'm actually scared to even ask certain people to do this podcast, because especially in fucking Hollywood, everything's about like using other people, and I'm not with that. Like, the reason I asked you here, and
you can use me anytime, Bobby.
Thanks, Daddy. Back. Anyway,
wow.
So the reason that I asked you is because, I don't know, I feel like we're like a weird, like, buddy comedy in real life. It's like so weird. Like, you'll just come to my house in Bend, Oregon, where we're neighbors.
Yes.
And then like make beats on my MPC.
It's crazy. How did we first meet again?
I have no idea. I have no fucking clue.
How did that happen? Oh, chess. It was the chess tournament.
Oh, right. Shout out chess.com. You know, I just had Danny
Wrench.
He was on my podcast.
No way.
Yeah. He's the guest before you. Actually.
Do you know Danny's story about growing up in the cult stuff?
Yes, all of it. Did you know that? You know he's writing a book?
Yeah.
You know who put that together, don't you? This guy.
No.
Oh, yeah. I hooked him up with my people and got him a fucking deal.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's got one hell of a story.
And by the way, listeners and viewers, if you haven't read Bobby's autobiography, This Strange, Wonderful, Happy World, it's My Glorious, Bright Horizons Upon Which I Sail. No, but seriously, if you haven't read his book, you've got to read his. I'm going to be the biggest plugger right now. Your autobiography memoir was fucking amazing.
Wow,
and
man.
It is.
Thank you.
It is amazing. Your story is fucking incredible. It's harrowing, but somehow you tell it with grace and with humor and lightness and inspiration. It's not depressing, but it's really like.
You're making me anxious.
No. It's
thank you.
This is legit. There's
I
no.
love how we're here to talk about your book.
There's no smoke being blown here. Like, it is a legitimate, great story.
Thanks,
it's
man.
a beautiful and great story.
I appreciate that.
I mean it.
And I, furthermore, just want to say thank you for being here, because, you were somebody that I was a bit nervous to ask because I just never want to ever step over any bounds personally. You know, I think, like I said, we live in a town, everybody's trying to get something from somebody else. And I just like, all I want is your friendship. So thank you for being here today. It really means a lot to me.
I appreciate it. It is a very odd couple that an almost 60-year-old weird actor was friends with like this kind of offbeat rap star. And, but I like it. I love it, man. I love your perspective. And here's the thing about me with the asking is I've been in therapy for 20 years.
Wow.
And one of the things I work on in therapy a ton is called boundaries. For those who don't know, Google that shit. But you know, so I'm really good at saying no to people if I don't want to do it or if it's crossing a line and communicating about it, because I used to be terrible at that.
I've learned how to say no. I think once I learned how to say no, I found my almanac of happiness. So, you know, was it almanac? What was it? Was that it?
Yeah, close enough.
Was that what I said? Whatever. Anyway. No, but for real, like I used to say yes to everything to the point where I was extremely depressed and didn't even know I was depressed.
Overcommitted.
Like, yeah, like just everybody, you know, you got people in your pocket, do this show, go here, go here, go here. And then like they're saying, like when I'm like, I don't know, man, I'm really tired. You hear shit like, you never know, you might not be here ever again. Like, what the fuck? Like who says something like that? Like, you got to get it now. And I'm like, get what now? I just made $30 million. I'm set. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, but it's because people are in your pocket. And you
made $30 million?
I made $30 million in 2018.
Can I talk to you later about that? I need a little help on the rent.
No problem.
Some gambling.
I got you. Do we just play footsies a little bit over here?
I bet it all on the Bucks. And
I love that you're so naturally funny. Like you don't try to be funny, and that's why you're funny. When I try to be funny, I'm not funny. Ask Brandon. Am I right, Brandon?
You are
Check
correct.
that out.
Yeah. So what would you say, Brandon? Is it? Oh, I like that. Are we going dad bods? Let's go.
DJ Dad Bod. That's my DJ name.
You know, I have a song called Dad Bod.
That's right. Yeah, I've heard that.
And what's really funny is when the track list came out, this is how stupid hip hop is. When the track list came out, everybody was like, that song's going to be terrible. And it's like the best song on the album and everybody loves it. Anyway, so Seattle. Tell me, man, about what was your home like growing up? What was your household like? Parsival. Tell me, Parsival.
I had a very strange home life. I've written about it a little bit in my various books and whatnot, but here was the weirdest thing as I look back on it from my age in my mid-50s is that my parents were very spiritual and very into religion, and they were members of the Baha'i faith, which is a very lovely in religion. I don't mean to disparage the faith, but my parents, in their very flawed interpretation of it, have a religion that was completely about love and peace and unity. If there was no love or peace or unity to be found in my home.
Wow.
So it was a weird thing to grow up. It's like gaslighting. A kid growing up in a home where we have prayer gatherings and we're doing service work and we're getting together with other and singing with Baha'is and getting together with people of different faiths and talking about love and unity, but they didn't love each other. Wow. And it was this weird thing when I was writing my kind of comedic memoir, The Bassoon King, I went and talked to them about their marriage, and I was like, because my mom left when I was 1.5 years. So she took off and I went with my dad. So it was kind of a reverse of what usually happens.
Yep.
He got remarried to my stepmom, who pretty much raised me. But I asked my dad and my stepmom, like, when did you know? And I didn't really meet my mom again until I was about 15.
Wow.
So I said, when did you know that the marriage wasn't working and wasn't going to work? And they were like, within about 6 months after we got married.
Wow.
And they stayed together for 14, 15 years after that. So you grow up in a house of two people that don't love each other. They fight all the time. And then they're talking about God and prayer and love and service and unity and bringing people together, and which I believed in and I wanted to. And we kind of on the surface had a really normal house. I mean, we would walk the dog and there was a garden in the back and we would watch, Taxi on television and sitcoms. And, I took piano lessons and I lived in suburban Seattle. We were very, very poor.
Shout out being broke.
not Bobby Hall poor, but not Sir Robert Bryson Hall poor, but, my dad drove a Ford Pinto and worked in a sewer construction company. My mom was a homemaker, and we had a 1,100 square foot house, concrete cinder block house. And, it was, middle class, I guess, lower middle class. He made like 15 grand a year, but it seemed normal, but it was that. So that fucked me up. That did a real number on me later on in life.
What was it like reconnecting with your mother at 15 years old? Like, do you remember it? What was it like?
She would occasionally call, like maybe every 2 years, and sometimes I would get a...
Damn, sounds like my dad. Shit.
Yeah, I think that's abandoning.
Was she
parents
smoking crack too?
She wasn't smoking crack. She was probably smoking a lot of weed and doing acid, but I don't really know about her drug life. I do know that she had the craziest life after she left my dad. She joined a cult for a while.
Whoa.
She worked in an insane asylum in Bismarck, North Dakota. She had a goat named Angel of the Morning. I'm not kidding you. I'm not making this up.
Yeah, this sounds like a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood Charles Manson like B-side deep cut.
She was in a cult therapy group in Oakland called, I think it was like The Family or something like that.
Or shit. She was Marlon Brando in the circle?
I don't think so, but
okay.
It was pretty nuts.
De Niro just pops out and like, meh. It's The Family. What are you talking about? I fucking cut your nuts off.
The Family.
Oh my God, that was so good.
Listen, Bobby, do you need Marlon Brando on the show?
The breath, though, that's what really gets me. The like failing heart.
Yeah. That's fat Brando. I think young Brando is more like, hey, I love you, Stella. Come on over here. It's a little higher.
I like that.
Okay.
So back to cult therapy.
So yeah, so my mom when I was 15 made a concerted effort to be a mom again. So she called my parents and said,
you can't just show up mid masturbatory years in a young man's life like, hey, it's time to...
But here's the deal. She called my parents. She's like, I want to play a real role in Rainn's life, which she had obviously said before. And they were like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But then she started showing up and she'd be like, I'm going to be in town this weekend. I'd love to visit. Here's a birthday card. I remember she sent a birthday card with some money. That was like the first gift I'd ever gotten from her. For my 15th birthday, I got $100 bill from her.
Wow.
Which is more money than I'd ever had.
I mean, $100 in 1946. I mean, that's got to be crazy.
Right? Depression era, right?
I'm just kidding.
So I bought myself an Oldsmobile.
Yes. Okay, sorry.
But so it actually was great because my mom, for all of her strangeness and dubious history, was very emotionally mature in a lot of ways, and she was able to speak about emotions in a way my other parents weren't. So she was able to kind of like be with me and be like, how are you feeling? What's going on in your heart right now? And
how did that make you feel as a kid who never really grew up around that? And then all of a sudden an adult is talking to you like an adult, not a child.
I would cry. I would burst into tears. Wow. No joke. I remember one time I was in a Denny's with her and she's like, how are you? You seem kind of upset. And just her asking me that, I just started sobbing in the Denny's. I was 15 years old.
I feel like sometimes that's all somebody needs. It's just somebody there to talk.
Yeah.
And I feel like especially as kids, we didn't have that, and your friends aren't asking. You don't even want to talk to your friends. You just want to like watch SpongeBob and, like play at the park. So for somebody to actually take the time to do that, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's powerful. I mean, it's one of the most powerful human things to say, how are you feeling? I see you. I'm listening to you. I witness you. I care. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
How are you feeling today, Rainn?
I feel really good, man. Honestly, I feel really fucking good.
That's awesome.
Love my life right now. I love it.
Good.
I had sex with my wife this morning.
Fire. How was that?
We've been together for almost 33 years.
Wow.
Older than Brandon. Brandon was conceived. Brandon might be my son.
So you had sex today.
And, my book came out. It's doing pretty well. And I'm going to do some acting, and my son is doing well. And
is he still playing guitar?
He's playing guitar.
Hell yeah.
And he's going to go to college this fall.
That's weird. He was like 12 3 days ago.
It happened so fast, bro. You know, how's Bobby Jr.?
Dude, oh my goodness. So yesterday I was like, I just had a fucking weird day. Like I woke up, my son woke me up. He jumped on my head. Loved that. You know, my wife's all pregnant and naked, walking around, just looking like a goddess. Well, not in front of the boy, but anyway, he was downstairs watching cartoons. And, you know, I'm in a great mood. I'm giving her a hug and telling her how much I love her and thanking her for just all that she does for our family. And I'm just like in a good mood. And then I come over here and it was pretty gloomy. It's been kind of weird out here in the middle.
The weather was real dark yesterday.
And so I don't know. I just started like doubting myself. And this does happen from time to time, especially just with my music, you know, because it's like, I'll be in this mood this day. Like, bro, I'm sitting on like 10 albums. Like, and I'm like, when do I drop this one? Where do I drop da, da, da? And I don't know. I was just kind of down on myself. And I had a meeting that I had to do. And then after that, I wanted to spend time with my boy. And so I went back home to get little Bobby and kiss Leo, the unborn baby in my wife's tummy, who's doing good.
Did you put your head into the vagina to do that? Did you get?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
You went through the walls of the...
Yeah.
Okay.
On the outside.
Doesn't really
like
count.
Like a neighbor.
Okay.
Anyway, Rainn, so...
you go home to get little Bobby.
Yeah, I get little Bobby.
It's a gray day. You're doubting yourself.
Yeah, and then my wife, like, she could tell. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm anxious. I was pretty anxious. And she was like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And there was a part of me that was like, maybe I shouldn't take my son out right now, because I was like, maybe I'm not in the best headspace and maybe I just need to relax and calm down. And this fucking kid wakes up from his nap. Oh, I could cry. Fuck, dude. Sorry.
I think you should.
No, I'm not going to cry. And he fucking says, you know, he's like, Daddy. And he fucking runs to me and he gives me the biggest hug and he goes, I love you with all my heart. This kid's 3 years old.
Oh my God.
And it makes me emotional because like, it just makes me happy that I'm fucking there for this kid. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know how anybody wasn't there for me. And it like kind of makes me not angry. It used to make me angry, but it makes me proud of myself. I'm going to be honest. And as soon as that happened, my like whole day brightened up. It was the weirdest thing. It was just like, and I was like, we're getting fucking ice cream. Let's go. But what's crazy, I actually didn't tell him we were getting ice cream. I was like, we're going to go out. And he goes, you going to go ice cream shop? And I was like, you fucker, you're telling the end of the movie. Like, so then we went and we got him some ice cream.
So it was really powerful for me when I was about a year and a half, when my son, Walter, was about a year and a half, 2 years old. That's when my mom left me and my dad. She had an affair and left the marriage. And when I saw little Walter and how bonded he was to Holiday, my wife, at year and a half, 2, like just needed her, needed to touch her, needed to know where she was, needed those hugs, you know, would wake up and immediately, well, Mama, you know, like, where's Mama? And needed that connection to Mama. And like, that's the age when my mom took off.
Wow.
And that hit me hard. And that's, I think, little Bobby, you're seeing like, Dada, I love you. Like you wanted to say that to your dad. You wanted to wake up from a nap and be like, Dada, I love you. And have your dad give you a big hug and take you for ice cream. And it's a primal wound, man. It's serious shit. And the fact that we're both alive from traumas like that is pretty fucking cool.
I agree, man. And you know, I spent years and years trying to reconnect with my dad, even when I knew I shouldn't. And, you know, one of the last times I tried to reconnect with my dad, first thing he asked me for is $1 million. He says, I need $1 million. He said, boy, I need $1 million. I said, for what? First of all, can we go catch motherfuckers? Shit. Can we go fishing or something? Like, you need $1 million.
Can we throw a Nerf football?
Yeah, seriously. You know? So I'm like, okay, no. Why do you need $1 million? And he's like, so I can get a studio house for my band, because my dad plays African percussion and sings. He's actually a damn good musician, if I'm being honest. It's just, you know, the drugs and all that. So shit never really panned out. And I was like, Dad, no. And I put him out of my life again because I set these boundaries and he would just step over them. And I always told my dad, I said, don't talk to me about money and don't talk to me about fucking music. Like my dad, he really does. He calls me Logic, like even to this day. Like sometimes it'll slip out. And he'll say, no, he won't. And then I look at his phone and my name is Logic in his fucking phone. And I'm like, bro, what? Anyway, a couple months ago, I decided that I was going to let my dad back in my life. Because I'm looking at my little boy and I'm like...
And now he's like, I need $30 million. Because you talked about it on your podcast.
Exactly.
Sorry, keep going.
No, I thought about... There was a version of me at 50 years old, wiser than I am now, whose dad is dead, right? It's just, there's never going to get that back. And I was like, you know what? Here we go. I'm going to try it yet again. And I let my dad back in my life. Fly him out here, first class, take care of him. Walks in the door, goes, I need a truck. I need you to buy me a truck. Off jump, right? So instead of doing what I always would do, which is go, fuck you. How could you do, not really, but like being like, how could you talk to me about this? Da, da, da. I'm putting you out of my life again. I said, Dad, you haven't been here. And he was like, I need you to pay my bills and all this shit. And I was just like, why are you doing the one thing I asked you not to do? And then he's like, and then we got to hit the studio. So it's like literally all the things I was like, please don't do.
Money, 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 music.
Yeah. And I was like, why, Dad? And he looks me in the face and he says, the greatest answer he could give me. He says, I don't know. I said, why you ask me this shit? I don't know. And then he's like, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, what are you embarrassed about? And this was when shit started to get deep. And he said, I just want to leave something for your brother. Because 30 years ago, after my dad had me, he did two things in this order. He got a paternity test, clearly, to make sure I was his baby. And then second, he got a vasectomy. Almost 30 years later, he was in a program, knocks up a 22, 23-year-old girl. She has a baby. A year later, she dies of a heroin overdose. My dad takes the baby. And I remember telling him, like, I want to adopt that baby. And my wife was pregnant. And I was like, I want to adopt my little brother. And he was like, just give me the money. So this is the kind of person I was dealing with. Things are a bit different, and we'll get there in a second. Sorry for talking so damn much.
I like it.
But it is a podcast. And I said, what do you mean you're embarrassed? And he goes, I need to leave something for your little brother. And for the first time in my life, I thought about it. I said, Dad, you want a truck? He said, yeah. I said, you want some money? He said, yeah. I said, you know what I'm going to do, Dad? I'm going to make an album with you. And I'm going to make an album about family and love and loss. And you're going to sing all over it. And you're going to get publishing. And you're going to earn every fucking dollar you get. And you're going to understand black ownership, self-investment, XYZ, all this shit. And I said, 50% of every dollar you make is going to go into a trust that I can't touch and you can't touch. And when that little boy is of age, he will have something. And that other 50%, you can have fun with.
That is amazing, man. That is brilliant.
And it changed our relationship.
Whoa.
It completely and utterly changed our relationship.
Have you started that process with him?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
You've been recording?
The album is insane. I'll play you some of this shit. You should be on it. Need some raps. Anyway, so I say this to say that, like, it's kind of crazy, these relationships that we have with our parents, and how here I am. I thought it was just never going to happen. And I find myself here. Now, mind you, I just found out today because I bought him the truck. And he goes, I go, okay, Dad, I'm going to buy you this truck today. He goes, all right, man, you got to go to the Fitzgerald, though. And I'm like, don't be telling me what the
Where to buy a truck.
I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? And I'm like, I got it. He's like, okay, Sean. All right. And then I'm like, cool. So I buy him the truck. He gets the truck. The next day, he's saying, like, the check engine light's on and like fumes are coming into the car and like all this other shit. And so he takes it back to the dealer and he's like, let me get that one instead. And I think deep down, my dad just didn't like the truck that I got him because he was like, where's the DVD player? I'm like, DVDs, motherfucker. What is this? 2002? Anyway, so I think sometimes.
Are you going to have him on the podcast?
I already did. Fucking bawled my eyes out. I cried my eyes out because I told him, I was like, it was super fun. And then I got really emotional and I was just like, how in the fuck could you leave me outside all day and promise me that you would come pick me up on a Saturday, every Saturday. And I have my fucking bags packed like Huckleberry Finn, and I'm on the street just all day and night. And my mom comes to me and she's like, he's not coming. You fucker. Like, I asked him. And then he's trying to talk to me, and I'm like crying, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. Look at me. I'm like, let me cry. Look at me.
Damn.
Look at me. It was some deep shit, man. But we needed that.
Yeah.
And he gave me that.
You're calling him to some accountability, man. That's incredible. It's so healing. It's so beautiful. Do you know Gabor Mate, Dr. Gabor Mate? You ever hear any of his shit? Mm-mm. He's been in a lot of podcasts. I think he was on Rogan, and he's been in a lot of big podcasts, Russell Brand. And he's like the foremost guy on addiction and trauma.
Wow.
And he's incredible. You should get him on the show. He's brilliant. He's like 90, but he's so super sharp. And he would be in awe of what you've done to to transform that trauma into healing and into gold and into grace, that there's a forgiveness going on between you and him, that it brings an incredible light to that relationship. I've never heard of anything like this before.
Oh man, thank you.
It's beautiful.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It's beautiful and it's tough, man. I like that. The album, yeah.
And I'll show you the album cover. It's crazy. It's my dad in 1960 fucking whatever. And it's like this little boy.
Yeah.
And
was he abandoned as a boy?
Well, here's the story. So my father's name is Robert Lloydell Hall.
Okay.
He is Robert Bryson Hall. I am Sir Robert Bryson Hall II, which is how he was able to steal my identity before I was 18 and max out credit cards and almost ruin my credit. Anyway, and then my son is Sir Robert Bryson Hall III.
Nice.
And he told me about how his father was a huge alcoholic. His mother was also an alcoholic, my grandfather and my grandmother. And my grandfather was walking home from the bar one night on Christmas Eve. Walked up the stairs, slipped on ice, hit his head, froze to death. They found him on Christmas morning.
Oh my God.
A year later, my grandmother had basically drank herself into a coma. Then when she woke up like 18 days later, they were like, if you ever drink again, you're going to die. And she was at a Christmas party and she drank herself to death in a recliner. Very much so like the ones we're sitting in.
It's crazy that both of those deaths happened on Christmas.
Yeah, I know. And Christmas is my shit. I love it. But that's sad.
Wow. That's intense, bro. Well, I say with my mom, it's been a long process of healing. I mean, our story wasn't as kind of dramatic and traumatic as yours, but
I don't know, man. She was in cult therapy, dude.
Now she's 82. Tomorrow is her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
And she's like just radiance and light. She's amazing right now. You get her on the phone. We should call her right now.
Does she still smoke weed?
No, she's drug and alcohol free.
I like that.
And she's like, good morning. Hi. How are you? I heard so many birds this morning.
Oh, wow.
I love you. How is Walter? How is Holiday?
Oh, my God.
Oh, I mean, she's
that
just
sounds
like
amazing. My dad's like, oh, there was so much crack pipes going on and gunshots. And that's what I grew up with. But now it's better. That's so cool, man.
Yeah,
So what's your mother's name?
Shay. Her name was Patty Whitman.
Okay. Very white.
Patricia Whitman from Wisconsin. From Weyauwega, Wisconsin.
Oh, God.
And then she changed her name to Shay in the hippie years.
Okay.
For a while, she moved to Israel and joined a kibbutz and changed her name to Sarah because she wanted to convert to Judaism and live on a kibbutz.
What's a kibbutz?
A kibbutz is a communal work kind of farm living situation in Israel.
From a comic book.
Kibbutz.
like Batman and Robin.
Yeah, like Comic Sans, like a font. And she got married. I think she's on husband number 5. She's had a life. I
like that.
Yeah, but she's really just super loving and she's been a yoga teacher crazy for like 40 years.
Damn.
She still teaches yoga in her 80s.
Have you ever done yoga together?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a vibe.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Rainn, what makes you happy?
Well, I would say that what makes me happy is my family And I really think my greatest accomplishment is being married for 20 some years and together 33 years, raising a son somewhat successfully, has been pretty friggin' great. And I have a spiritual practice that I get a lot of joy from. I had a meditation this morning out on my bench. It was beautiful, communing with nature, communing with the past spirit of my father who died 2 years ago. But I have to do a lot of work, Bobby, to kind of get to neutral. So I do meditation, prayer, cold plunges, gratitude lists.
Wow.
I make calls to guys in recovery programs, and I do therapy, and I do this just to kind of get to functional.
Dude, you're putting in the work.
I put in a lot of work and it doesn't make me arrived. It doesn't make me enlightened. It doesn't make me the Buddha. I just it gets me functional.
You seem pretty enlightened to me.
I've gone through a lot of shit. I have some wisdom to share, but I'm really not any more wise than, let's say, Steve Carell.
All right. I like that. That's shots fired. Here comes the rap beef song.
No, I mean,
I'm
for
kidding.
real.
I know,
Steve is a great guy
I know.
and a wise guy. I do spiritual practice.
He's in the mafia?
He's a wise guy.
Sorry.
Bobby Tarantino, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I think it really shows. And I remember even when we first met, I was probably in the depths of drinking a lot. I was. But I started drinking alcohol much later because of my upbringing, and it scared me straight in a way. And I always say, I went through my college years, at 28, as far as getting fucked up and having fun. And I remember kind of in the middle of that, we became homies, and I was definitely playing PogChamps hungover. And then you came to the crib and we hung out. And I remember being like, hey man, I texted you. I was like, yeah, you should come over sometime, have a drink. And you were like, oh, I can't, I'm Baha'i. And I was like, you're high? What? And you were like, no, I'm Baha'i. I was like, what is that? And he said, it's a religion. And I looked it up, and it's really beautiful. And I thought that was really cool. And I don't know how to explain, because there was a time there where I was really getting lit, but I was having a blast. I was having fun, and now I'm at a place where it's well reined in, no pun intended. And I know that you've suffered from addiction or things like that. How did you find yourself through that?
Well, it's interesting. I think. So I talked about Dr. Gabor Mate, and he talks about the links between trauma and addiction, and that's his whole thing. And he's been talking about that for decades in a kind of a deeper and more profound and data-driven researched way than a lot of other psychiatrists and psychologists. And he works on the streets of Vancouver, BC with hardcore heroin addicts and whatnot. But he always goes back to their childhood trauma that led them to drug and alcohol dependence. And for me, I had my little traumas, but
I wouldn't call them little.
Well,
trauma is trauma, Rainn. It's not trauma Olympics over here. We're not competing.
Trauma Olympics. We should do that. That'd be a good podcast. Find the person who's had the most trauma. Yeah, okay. You win.
Wait, what do they win? Fucking antidepressants?
For life.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so... when I started late too, because I grew up Baha'i, and then when I left the Baha'i faith and I was 21 living in New York City, and I was kind of starving artist trying to be an actor, and I started really, I started doing drugs and I started using alcohol. The drug phase was kind of short-lived.
What was your drug of choice?
I did pot and coke. Those were my two.
Okay, never done coke. Talked to Theo Vaughn about doing coke once. He was he was just talking about grabbing his wiener and stuff. So anyway, you were saying
that was short-lived, but then what I did is I drank a lot, and I was never like a blackout drunk, pass out kind of guy. But what happened was I realized about 10 years into it, I am medicating my anxiety with alcohol. And so I had it every day, and I won't say I couldn't get through a day. I didn't get the shakes, But every single day I would have between 3 and 6 beers or a shot or 2 or half a bottle of wine or something like that. It wasn't like outrageous amounts, but it just took the edge off. But it really wasn't working because my anxiety, it worked for a while. And that's the thing about drugs and alcohol. When you start them, they work for a while. They make you happy. They uplift you. You feel great. You're doing it responsibly. You know what I mean? And then it starts to slip and you need more and more to get that same sensation. And then, I also
feel like, sorry to cut you off, the perpetuation of alcohol in specific with anxiety is gnarly, because then it's like you feel so great when you drink, and if you overdo it even just a little bit, like you feel it the next day, and that heightens your anxiety. And then maybe you drink a bit more that night to feel even and normal again, but then you wake up and your anxiety's worse, and it's just this like cycle, dude.
Yeah. And I had the same thing. With pot. I think it works maybe for some people. I don't know. But for me, it would just be the next day that anxiety would be back, and maybe even more, you know? So I just kind of, as I got back into my faith, it was at the same time as I was getting sober, basically late 90s, early 2000s. And then just kind of realizing like, I need to deal with this shit. And I went into therapy, and I need to kind of like figure out other ways to medicate my anxiety, to soothe my anxiety other than, and it was everything. It's been food, it's been porn, it's been social media. I had to take off my phone because I was kind of getting addicted to that. And I spent all day just literally scrolling and
there was a
commenting.
Time in my career when I was posting minimum 10 stories on Instagram a day. Yeah. And each of them, you know, and they run out after 24 hours, they disappear. Each of them would have 1 million views on every single one. I felt like a fucking Kardashian. It was weird. And at the height of just like social media, everything, that I couldn't take it anymore. And I had to get off it for my sanity. So I feel you on that.
So I have someone running it for me. Sometimes I'll go on and do some posts and promote some shit, but I don't have it like on my phone and as a daily thing. Cause it gets overwhelming, and then it gets into my self-esteem shit. Cause I'm like comparing people and, they're doing such better posts, and, this actor is so much more successful than me.
Yeah.
And,
that envy.
People like that better. And it just get into this
whole. Dude, that shit is like, I still find myself there. Like, but it's in a much better way, you know. Like I used to look at people, whether it was Chance the Rapper or Travis Scott, like, damn man, like I know I'm good as those guys, how come that? And then it's like, bro, I woke up one day and was like, what are you doing? These are your brothers. Like, be happy for them,
and
bro.
There's room enough in the world for all of you to have great success.
I liked when you touched my knee. That was very, oh my goodness.
Do you hear me?
I hear you.
There's room enough in the world for all of you to have great success.
Okay, thanks. Okay, that's enough. Not on camera.
There is also
no, but that's a real thing. I think that jealousy and that envy, I think it's human. I think it's in us. And I even still find myself, if anything now, it's an intrusive thought. It used to be thoughts that I would like plot on and kind of be like, what the fuck? I got to do what he's doing. I got to this, I got to that. And then now, like if I want to do some indie rock shit, or if I want to do this, that, and a third, I'm just like, so what? Who gives a shit? Like if it doesn't stream great, if it doesn't, am I happy? I'm fucking happy. Are me and my friends enjoying it?
But you figured this out at 30, man. It took me till 50.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm mid 50s, and it really took me till late 40s, early 50s to kind of like just be good and at peace with like, hey, I can have an acting career, and I can do podcasts and write books, and so can all of the other brilliant, wonderful comedic character actors who are roughly in my range and milieu. And there's enough bounty for all of us in God's glorious universe.
Yeah, it's not like Highlander. It's not like there can only be one. Yo, my movie knowledge game is like so epic that I've never even seen that movie, and yet I can make that reference.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sick.
Tell me about it. So Soul Boom.
Soul Boom.
Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this book. I haven't read it yet.
I sent it to you a month ago.
I know, but I've been taking care of my son.
We were going to do this like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we canceled and we rescheduled.
But also it's like, at least I'm not,
fun excuse.
At least I'm not like, Almanac of Happiness. I'm like honest. I always hate when somebody will like talk about work like they know it.
Yeah. And
they fucking don't. And it's like, I'm here, look, wait, where's my shit? I got to fucking, I've read.
I haven't listened to University Neighborhood yet, so.
I read one of them. You can see I read like 16 pages, and I plan to finish it. I'm gonna fucking finish it. I'm excited to do it, especially on tour. But one of the things that I saw is when you were talking about Captain Kirk going to that planet with the different types of people. It was about race and like racism and how on this Star Trek episode, like this whole planet basically destroyed itself over. Yeah,
there's one species is half white on one side and black on the other, and the other side is black on that side and white on the other. And they've been for eons. They've been at war with each other.
Sounds like Logic Star Trek crossover episode right there.
You got to check out that episode. Have you seen the original series?
Yeah, I actually bought the whole like all the seasons of the original one with what's his face? You know,
Shatner.
Shatner.
Yeah.
William Shatner.
Yeah.
And
great.
I've seen like probably like 13 episodes so far. It's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, tell me about this book. I remember, we had a really great conversation while you were finishing it up when we were in Oregon, and what it meant to you. So please tell our listeners about it.
Sure, man. One of the things that has been a passion of mine my whole life is religious thought, spirituality, mysticism. I love the writings of lots of different religions. I've read a lot of the great books, the Bhagavad Gita and the Dhammapadas of the Buddha and the Bible and the Quran. And I love the way that spirituality and religion intersect with life's biggest, most profound philosophical questions. This has just been a personal hobby of mine. And over COVID, I realized like, oh shit, I'm going to be not acting on sets for a while because all production got shut down for at least a year. And then after that, it was much more minimal than it had been. This is my opportunity to kind of write down everything I've learned. And it's really a book to provoke a conversation. It's really about spiritual questions. I write about the soul and God and life after death. I write about the death of my father and the meaning of life shit, suffering. Why do we suffer? Sacredness. How do we find holiness in our life? And then I have this kind of proposition, which is that we need spiritual tools to solve the world's big problems. We're not going to do it through politics.
Amen. I mean, I feel like, dude, as I get older, the world just, it scares me even more and more and more. So it's like, I feel like when I was young and just a kid, it's like we're in fucking Iraq and I'm just like skateboarding and playing Tony Hawk and you just don't think about it. But then when you grow and you have children and you see this world that we live in, like, it makes me really sad. Sometimes I'll just have random thoughts that's like, oh my God, there's like so many people in the world right now in pain, like literally in this moment. And like, just this empath piece of me, like it's hard, but then you also can't focus on the negative all the time. It's the same reason I can't be on social media or even watch the news and shit. It's just like, the wildest shit. I don't want to turn it on. It's like, oh, young woman was gang raped today. I'm like, what the fuck? Like this shit is like, it is. Why is it called the news? That's not news. They should just call it like depressed hour.
Well, because it gets people watching more. You click on news articles that make you outraged.
But why? Why do we do that? What the fuck, man? I mean, even like, clickbait bullshit. Like Rainn Wilson could say something right now.
Yeah.
That is funny. It's, maybe it's a little raunchy, but nothing crazy. And then somebody could literally take a clip and make you seem completely different from how the conversation was. Like, that sucks, man.
And put it on like Up Rocks or something like that, and it would get 1 million clicks.
What's Up Rocks?
I don't know. One of those outlets. One of those clickbait outlets.
Yeah, you mean like Fuckboy Complex magazine? They suck. No, Complex is okay, but some of their writers are just so fucking lame. Like, check this out. I was doing a video the other day. Check this shit out. And I was talking about some shit in the world and I was like, man, I'm not here to judge anybody. Like, I love everybody, I was like, You know, I mean, unless you're doing something fucking stupid, like when Kanye wore an all lives or a white lives matter shirt, fucking moron. And I said it like that. And then I was like, but don't get me wrong. I love Kanye West. And I then went into like basically suck his dick and was like, I'm nothing without this man. He was there for me in ways that my father wasn't through his music, But I was like, yeah, as a black man, I'm not really vibing with the white lives matter just to ruffle shit up. And a lot of people agreed with what I said and even how I said it. But Complex was like, Logic calls Kanye West a fucking moron.
Yep.
But that particular writer, shout out to you. Do we know who it is? Yeah, whoever. Okay. They did something nobody's ever actually done before in clickbait history, I think. They clickbaited the shit out of me, and then they do this write-up. But then in the write-up, they follow it with, after I said what I said about Ye, I was like, and watch somebody try to just take what I said as clickbait and not even express the fact that I like love this man. And they actually, at the end,
they listed that.
They did list it.
But
so
they still used it. It's, you know, have their cake and eat it too. They got their clickbait and then they, yeah.
I have to urinate. Is that okay?
Right. Yeah, let's take a urine break.
Is it, you want to, you just want to say anything before we take this break?
No, I'm going to pee. I'm going to pee too. Do you want to have a sword fight?
Let's go. Sometimes after I pee, I just, like let the water run and don't actually wash my hands.
I'm gonna make an even bolder assertion right now. Are we rolling?
It's a joke, by the way. Clearly.
No, I'm not joking. And I will say that 9 times out of 10, I do not wash my hands.
What?
When I pee.
Really?
Why would I if my hands are clean? Listen, hear me out. Shut up for a minute and let your guest speak on your fucking podcast.
Okay.
Why, if my hands are clean and I go into a bathroom and I unzip my pants and I take my perfectly clean wiener in my hand, which has had a shower that morning, and then sterile urine flows freely, and then I flush the toilet and zip up, why do I need to wash my hands? Please explain to me why I need to wash my goddamn hands. I only wash them if I've been out and they've been like touching grungy things around, and then I will wash my hands for general hygiene. Now, of course, if I poop, I'm going to wash them so thoroughly your head is going to spin. It's like a fucking brain surgeon. But for urine, no, thank you. You touched it. You just touched it.
Oh, fuck.
Boom.
All right. Soul.
Clip that.
Soul. Boom.
Complex.
And they will, because they're fuck boys. But they'll probably cut this part out. Anyway. What was I going to say? We were talking about the book. But you fucking snapped. You just like went. What do you mean? You just literally like aced it. You gave me like the YouTube recap of the whole book. It's incredible.
In the book? The recap?
Yeah, you just did that. You just killed it.
With the urine hand washing thing?
No, with what we were talking about before the urination.
Yeah. You know, I think that young people and your kids, your fans, the Logic fans, can and should be talking a little bit more deeply and specifically about life, God, the meaning of life, its purpose, our souls, and digging into spiritual tradition and thought, because it can make our lives better. You talk about mental health. There are spiritual tools that can make your life tangibly better. And oftentimes people have such a reaction against religion that they're not looking at the tools that a lot of religions have given us that can make our lives better and can make our communities better.
Soul Boom. You're in for a treat. You're in
for a treat.
Okay. So when's the last time you laughed really, really hard? What makes you laugh really hard?
My son is 18 and a half and he really makes me laugh hard.
Like what? Like what makes...
He just has wisecracks. I mean, he just knows how to get me.
So he's definitely your son.
Yeah. And he also he's 18 and a half, but then all of a sudden he's like 11 and he'll go like, when you go by the auto dealerships and there's those hose guys that are going like this.
That's me in every music video I've ever done, by the way.
Is that how you dance?
I don't dance. I just walk and I just try to be J. Cole. And
but he'll do that. So he's like Mr. Too Cool for School, 18 and a half, like Mr. Punk Rock, like indie emo dude, you know, with like a black trench coat and hair in his eyes and mascara. And he's like,
really?
Yeah. And then, one day he'll just want to goof off and he'll be like, hey, Dad.
It's funny because my son does that now.
Just wait till he's 18.
I'm kind of like scared.
Good luck.
18. What's that like?
Teenage years are rough, man.
Really? Are they?
Yeah, but the earlier ones are rough. You know, 13 to 16. That's it. Then they start to get shit a little more figured out.
Yeah, I think my only fear is like I resonate with what you said about your mother. Like even with our boy, and we talk to him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'll definitely. My big thing that I do, like I don't yell, I don't this, I don't that. But if he's like yelling, if he says something at his mom, like, no, I always go, hey, that's my thing.
Yeah.
I just go, hey. And then he looks at me, Daddy. And I go, you treat your mother with respect. And he goes, okay. And I go, no, what do you say? You say, yes, sir. And he goes, yes, sir. And he's so sweet, and I love it. And it's pretty amazing. So you said,
I say that to my son. I was like, your mother, look at her. She carried you inside her stomach for 9 months. She carried you around in there. Don't talk to her that way.
Oh, that's real, dude.
It's true. It's biology. Look it up.
So how was that nut you busted this morning? Was it a good one?
I'm not going there.
Was it nice? Was it a fun time?
Your wife was very accommodating.
Is it true that orgasms become less, as you get older?
It's not across the board, but I definitely, like 1 out of every 4 is kind of a letdown. It's like a wah, wah. But the other one was good. It's just as good. It's just occasionally one doesn't hit for some reason.
I like that. I also love that we're just having fun right now. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why'd you let go? I need some urine on my hands.
Your hands are ridiculously soft.
They are?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Why not? That's what my wife says.
It's like holding hands with a sea anemone.
A what?
A sea anemone.
What the fuck is that?
Google it.
No, just tell me you're here. My mom used to say that shit.
It's a sea creature.
Sea anemone?
Sea anemone. They have these in tide pools. They wave and they have these little pasty, pale, soft tendrils. See, if this was Joe Rogan, the assistant, would put it up on the screen.
Oh shit! He just told. Brandon's now Googling it. Sea anemone. Do you know how to spell it?
It took you so long to get Google up, Brandon.
Yeah, you're kind of fucking up. Oh, that shit. That's funny.
Sea anemone. Holding hands with you is like holding hands with a sea anemone. That sounds like a rap. Holding hands with you is like we're holding hands with a sea anemone. And that's what I say to all of my enemies. And I'm...
anybody who's trying to befriend me.
Oh, that's good.
Come on, keep going.
Even Eminem and I'll take an Eminem enemy.
I like that. Did you say Eminem and Eminem?
Yeah, even Eminem have an Eminem enemy.
Even Eminem is my enemy. We should write a rap right now.
Let's do it.
Okay. Yo, I don't wash my hands and I bust nuts every single morning. Kill the pussy to the whole family morning. What's up? It's Rainn Wilson and this bitch. Now I'm on beatboxing. You can take the itch. Check it.
I'm over here hanging out with Logic today. I barely knew how to get here because it's so complicated in this area of Los Angeles. Oh, it's supposed to rhyme.
Fucking fucked it up, dude.
God. I started monologuing.
I like it. Do you ever feel that you're, in a way, always on? I mean, maybe not home with your wife and shit, but kind of in the world, like as a comedian, like is it a little stressful or is it fun? Is it more like, let me
I'm good, man. I'm good. This is me. This is kind of me. This is kind of who I am.
I think no matter who you are, though, if there's a camera on, like
a little bit. But I've always been like a performer. I would do little mimes for my parents.
So that's where your boy got it from.
Fly a kite and like pretend to be a sea anemone. at the dinner table. So I'm a little bit of a performer, but I used to be. Here's the difference, okay? I used to really care so much what people thought of me, and I would be a people pleaser. So everything was like, please like me. I hope I get a laugh so that you like me and you won't reject me. And that was an energy that drove my life for a long time, and that is fucking exhausting.
I really think, and I'm still on this journey, but true self-acceptance, like when you can like look in the mirror and be like, I like me. Like I like me, you know, I'm proud of what I've done.
Yeah.
It's really special. And that's why I think sometimes the internet can be difficult because it's like you could put out a show or a song or just, you know, regular Joe posts a picture of himself or herself that they like, you know, and somebody's there to be like, yeah, you got a zit right on your fucking eyelid. And then it's just, isn't that crazy?
Totally. Yeah.
And it can just kind of like suck that away from you. That's why honestly, I don't feel like, we as human beings, the amount of information that we consume daily is like shit that like people would 50 years reading tabloids would get.
Yeah, never in a lifetime.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's like so crazy. How did you know, to kind of take a step back from it all? Like what was there a moment?
It hasn't been a moment. It's just been a lifetime of, of some therapy and some recovery and meditation and spirituality of just like what gets in the way from me living my truest life. And too much news, too much stimulation, too much social media, too many like video games. I mean, I love video games.
You game?
And I haven't in a while, but I've liked them in the past. I've haloed, I've Call of Dutied.
Okay. Did you wash your hands after?
And I always wash my hands after a duty.
Great. That's amazing.
Call of. So, but it's stripping away the stuff that gets in the way between me and my most authentic sense of well-being. It takes a while to learn that, though.
I think the hardest thing we can do is be ourselves. Like it's a hard thing to do, to just look in the mirror and be happy with who you are.
So when I started therapy, my therapist was like, I want you to say daily affirmations.
Wow. Yeah.
And so he like printed out a list of affirmations like he'd gotten from the internet. It was literally had like
wash your hands,
ads on the side. No, affirmations, like positive things that you say to yourself. And then, the first one was, I am enough.
Oh my goodness.
So I read it and I was like, I am enough. I'm like, well, I'm not saying that one. I'm like, what about? And he goes, slow up. That's the one you need to say because that's the one you have the most resistance to. So I had it taped to my mirror, and every morning I'd go in. He said, before you brush your teeth, you look in the mirror and you say, I am enough. And it was hard for years to just look in the mirror, say, I am enough. Doesn't mean I have to do enough. I'm a human being, not a human doing. That's good.
Oh snap! That's a bar. Where was that when I was beatboxing?
I didn't say that. I didn't make that up. I think someone else did. But it was hard. It's really vulnerable, and it's like it really resonated because I just had that deep feeling in the pit of my stomach that I was, no matter what I did, I was never enough, never good enough, never lovable enough. It's taken me a long time to get to that point.
Dude, Big Boy from Big Boy's Neighborhood, incredible radio personality.
Didn't he lose a ton of weight?
He did, yeah. But this was like a super long time ago. He had I think he had stomach surgery.
Yeah,
because he's
medium boy now.
Yeah, no, he's little boy. He's little boy. He's
slim boy.
Yeah, slim boy. Slim boy. But great man, one of the best people I've ever met in my life, and. Our relationship, very much so like ours, it's like, it's not about all this shit. Like, this is fun when it gets done and it's cool to do something like this, whatever. But, I'll text him and just be like, hey man, I love you. Like, I hope you're good. I hope you're doing well. And I remember, when I retired for like 6 days, I remember telling him like a reason why I felt this way and all this other shit. And he said, Bobby, this game is a game of enough. And this world tells you you're not good enough, strong enough, cool enough, hood enough, black enough, this enough, that enough. And he goes, I am going to tell you, you are enough. And when he said that shit to me, I just started crying. Wow. Cause I was like, oh my God.
That's
like,
beautiful.
It was really, he didn't know it. I was on the other side. I was like, oh shit. Like, trying not to, but it struck a chord, and it is, obviously I'm talking about it now. It is one of, you ever have conversations with people and they're so amazing, like you walk away from, whether it's a best friend or somebody you just met or whatever, and it's deep, and you walk away from the conversation knowing it has impacted you and literally changed your life. Like, and even if it's these little things, I think about that, how like the man I was 5 years ago compared to now, it's those little things and that really change you. Do you ever feel that way after like having a conversation or experiencing something? I'm feeling it right now.
That's cool. I feel that. Like I remember, and it's a story I tell in my book, Soul Boom, Why We Need a Spiritual Revolution, available at bookstores near you. I tell a story about this acting teacher I had, this famous acting teacher named Andre Gregory. And he would meet with his acting students, and he met with me and we had tea, and this was in New York a long time ago, and like 20 years ago. And then he said, so how are you doing, Rainn? And I was like, well, I'm feeling kind of depressed. I feel pessimistic. I feel kind of hopeless, a little cynical. I feel like the world is so shitty and I just don't know, and blah, blah, blah. And I'll never forget it, Bobby, true story. He was this old, frail man. He grabbed my arm hard.
Fuck.
And he looked in my eyes and he was like, don't do it. Don't be cynical. If you're cynical, they win. If you're pessimistic, they win. You have to keep hope alive. It is so important that you stay hopeful and you keep hope alive and work toward the good, because if you stay pessimistic and cynical, then you're going to sit there and you're not going to do anything, and you're not going to change the world, and you're not going to make it better. And he was like staring lasers into my eyes.
Wow.
And I remember like stumbling out of his Greenwich Village apartment into New York City. And that was one of those things, like, holy shit, he is absolutely right. I have no time to get pessimistic and negative and cynical. That is just going to keep me on my couch, and I'm not going to make a difference. And I'm so grateful for that. And it was maybe a minute and a half conversation, and it changed my life.
Wow, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's like beautiful. And I need to hear it now. It's like, it's important. Like,
well, that's one of the things I love about you, and for real, since I got to know you, like where you live and where you work is just a fountain of creativity. You're kind of like, hey, I'm working on my guitar solo over here, and look, here's this new graphic magazine I'm doing, and like, oh, you got to check out this music video I just shot, and I've got my rock album over here, and then I wrote a book. Hey, look at the rough draft of like, you're just like generating positive stuff, and that's why your fans love you so much, because you're like, you're just bringing positivity and creativity and humor and tragedy to the world all the time. And it doesn't get better than that. And especially a kid that was abandoned the way you were and abused and traumatized the way you were, to be able to go through that to get to this point is fucking baller.
Dude,
can you be in your mid-50s and say baller?
Yeah,
can
of course you can. You just pulled it off.
Can I be a middle-aged white guy and say baller?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
1,000%.
Thank you.
Wow.
For real.
Thank you for that. That's like, you just made my fucking day, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just feel like and I'm sure people out there listening feel this way. Sometimes you just don't feel seen, you know what I mean? Or maybe sometimes you don't feel like what you're doing is working or whatever. And like, you just even saying, like, you're just my buddy. So the fact that you see all that, like,
well, I'm an artist and I create a lot, and I do videos and I make stuff and I write and stuff like that. But when I come over to Logic's house, it's nuts, man.
Thank you, man.
It's nuts.
Wow.
Do you know, you ever been to a party and there's like a chocolate fountain and you dip like a graham cracker or they have it like literally a fountain of chocolate? Have you ever seen those?
What kind of rich ass?
It's a rich ass thing.
Parties you going to? Like fondue and shit?
It's like 3 or 4 times I've been and there's been a chocolate fountain. My new nickname for you is Chocolate Fountain. Because you've got this chocolate fountain of creativity.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. It's probably white chocolate fountain, but still, that's a vibe.
Yeah, mixed mocha.
Yeah, exactly.
Mochaccino.
Dude, I just want to say thank you so very much for joining me here today. You've really brightened my spirits, honestly. I know I can say the same for every fucking person in this room. Like, Everywhere you go, man, you bring positivity. He's looking around. He's
everybody's on their phones. They're like, they're all on their Instagram. Like, yeah, great talk, dude.
They're listening, man. We're all listening, and you deserve to be celebrated as you are. And I think what you've given to the world, and there's so much left to give. You know what I mean? There's so much inside of you, creatively, spiritually, and it's just like it's such an honor to have you here. And you should know, like, here's your flowers. Like, here you go, bro. Like, you're an amazing, you're an amazing person, and you're a genius artist. And I am honored to call you my friend. And I want to thank you for joining us today. Is there anything you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Yes.
Yeah, but for real. Check it. Are we doing this right now?
You are.
Yo, what's up? It's the LOGIC from MD, the one and only. Understand, can I get it now? I kind of feel like Tom Hanks and Wilson. Did you get the joke, homie? You Wilson, suit enough. I got to keep it going with the bluff. What the fuck is this beat, Rainn? Okay. This is Logically Speaking. I love you guys. See you next time. Peace out.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Logically Speaking. Please make sure you click the link and check out more things. Don't forget to subscribe. All those things like that. Don't forget. Peace.